This is a troybilt TB 230 self-propelled lawnmower. It's a Briggs & Stratton engine. It's the only kind I work on. If I'm choosing, that's the ones I choose to work on. Sometimes I get mowers given to me that I need to work, I can turn into something, but I don't like to work on them. By choice, I choose Briggs. Like I said, it's a self-propelled model. This is one of their bigger ones. It's a 725EX, which refers to the gross torque of this mower. Like there's a lot of, like for example, there's some smaller mowers out there that'd be a 500EX or 350EX, and that is the gross torque of those mowers. And then another way to tell the size is the cc's. This is 163 cc's. About the biggest you see on mowers is 190 cc. But the modern mowers, this is kind of the big one right here. I bought this mower for $40, and I'm going to try and get it running. The previous owner said it used to run, it doesn't now. And usually 95% of my repairs are on carburetors because they have set up long and the carburetors are going bad with bad gas in them, things like that. But this mower did not have the air filter cover or an air filter, so I'll have to replace that. I'll show you what it takes. Here's one you'd think that is too dirty to use. Here's a brand new one, but believe it or not, this filter is fine. And the way you can check that is to see if light passes through it. I don't know if you can see that or not, but let me try again. Let's see. This is it, the dirty filter, and I'm going to shine a light through it. Here's my little flashlight. You see that light moving around there? So this still has some filter capacity. The reason I show you that is that people get obsessive about their mowers and they go, oh, I got to replace the spark plug. I got to change the oil. I got to change the air filter every month, you know, and that's just, that's too much. It's too much. These things are designed to run, you know, for a year or a season at least with an air filter. And certainly the spark plug. I've had spark plugs that were 20 years old, 30 years old that were fine. So don't get too crazy about that. Do change the oil on these. The modern ones, they say you don't have to change the oil. I'm not 100% on board with that yet. This is not one of the newer models that says that. But I will be putting an air filter on there. The way you can tell what this takes is that little outline right there is the outline of the shape of the filter. And see, it's going to go on like that. And that little guy will probably do a fine job because the light passes through it. To check it, I may run it for a few seconds or a minute without the filter and then put this filter on and see if there's a change in the RPMs or the sound of the mower. If there's no change, that means just getting sufficient air. Okay, so that's where we are right now. This is a 2015 mower, I believe. Yep, model year 2015. You can see it right there. But this mower has another problem, which I wanted to show you. So let me tilt it back. That's the way to work on these mowers. Don't turn them on their sides unless you absolutely have to. Tilt it back like that. That way all the oil and gas and fluids and everything go towards the back. Now if your gas tank's full, you know, that may be an issue because you may get some leakage around the cap, so be aware of that. But this is how I do all my work on mowers. And to make sure it doesn't move, I'm gonna get my heavy toolbox and put it let it rest on that handle there. That'll help me make sure it doesn't come down on me. Okay, so the problem with this mower is that the blade is on upside down. So that has to be corrected right away. And the reason I know that is several reasons, or the way you can check it is that if the operator is standing up there by the handle, and you've mowed enough grass, you know that the blade is going to turn clockwise. Your blade is going to turn clockwise and throw the grass out the side. If there's a discharge chute over there, in this case there's not, it's a mulching plate, but that's where the blade goes. It's going to go like that. And see, if it's going like that, the dull side and the lift side is hitting the grass, not the cutting side. So you have this incredibly dull blade, which is trying to cut your grass and struggling, and not giving you a good cut. And the thick stuff may not cut very well at all. It may shut down, bog down, because you don't have the cutting edge cutting the grass. And I can understand why people make this mistake, because the blade adapter, let me go over here and get one. And by the way, this happens all the time with these mowers. Okay, here's a new adapter. Let me show you this one. This will be great. Here's a brand new adapter for this blade. Let me set this down in the holster. Let's see what we're looking at. Okay, so I'm going to take this out of this baggie right here and show you what I'm talking about. And of course, it's difficult to open. Let me just cut it instead of trying to use my big thumbs to open it. Okay. So there's a brand new shiny adapter with the screw and everything. And the reason people make this mistake is they've got the blade here. Where am I? They got the blade here, and they're looking at it and they're thinking, oh, look at that curve. Look at that curve. I bet that helps grab the edge of this to stabilize it. And they look at it and they go, oh, that lines up. Look at that. That's great. Well, that is wrong, okay? Please remember that these edges that you think are going to go that way are not. They're going to go down. These edges are going to go down like that. That's what your blade is going to look like on the mower. It's going to turn this way, and you see the cutting edge is heading towards the discharge chute on the side. So please remember, these curved edges have to go down. They do not assist you here like you would think. All right, it'll go both ways. I mean, it'll fit on this way and it'll fit on this way. But remember, those curved edges have to go down. They have to go down. And look at it, make sure that cutting edge, when you pull that cord or turn the blade, that it's going to go toward, the cutting edge is going to go towards that discharge chute, okay? And the edges are down. So let's get this blade off here. And we're going to turn it over and put it on right. Let me back this camera up a little bit. There we go. Get my blade stop on there. And when I get mowers like this, in a way I'm happy, because the cutting edge is going to be pretty undamaged, because it hasn't been doing any cutting. And I can just flip it over and usually they're in excellent condition. So I'm going to put this blade block on here, which is a C-clamp and a couple of pieces of wood. And that's gonna, because it's at the end of the blade, it gives me plenty of leverage to get this blade off. Make sure I got the spark plug off. No, hold on a second. All right, got the spark plug off. And I'm going to swing this around very gently with my hand. Okay, it's hitting the blade block. And if I can't get it off with this, I'll get my, what's called a breaker bar, and use that to get this off. But let's see if I can get it moving with this little wrench. Nope, that's on there pretty tight. I don't like to use an impact wrench on this because I don't want to risk damaging that nut. It's very shallow. It's a very shallow head on this thing because you know, you don't want it hanging down too far to hit the grass, so they make these things intentionally shallow. So I got my breaker bar, and let me get the 5/8 socket and get this thing off of there. Yep. You see this big long breaker bar here. That'll give me plenty of levers to get this blade off. Okay, here we go. That's easy peasy with this big old thing. And you can swing it this way, and then go back again. So it slipped off. Start down here. Okay. And now I can just turn it with my wrists and stuff. Now I think I can probably just use my fingers. This is probably going to have the long screw. We'll see. Well, it's a long crankshaft. Nope, that's a standard one. Okay, that looks pretty undamaged. Let me show you. A lot of times these things are so chewed up you have to replace the adapter, but most of that adapter is still there, so I think we're good. Let me see if this blade will come off now. Okay, so this is installed wrong because the blade goes this way and the lift portion is going that way. We don't want that. So we want this blade on with the curved part facing down. So, all right, so I've got to move a couple of things here. Move my blade block because it's now in a different position. Now we're going to inspect this blade, and like I thought, it's in the cutting edge is in excellent condition. There's a little bit of damage there, but let me just put a file on there. That'll be practically like new. That's pretty sharp. That's pretty sharp. That's the funny thing when you get a mower with one of these blades on upside down. It's usually going to be in excellent condition on the cutting edge because it hadn't been used. So again, clean that debris off. Okay, that blade adapter is loose. That's actually a good thing if I ever need to change it. Okay, so I'm checking again. Got the cutting edge going towards that discharge chute. The curved edges are facing down, not up. So place my blade there and find my screw and washer. Kind of have to hold that in place. Now I'm just using my fingers. I want to try to get this on where it at least holds it in place. Let me find that socket I had earlier. Just get it sort of snug so it doesn't pop off of what holds it onto that adapter. Let's do some hand strength here. I think that's still in place. Right, so now I'll put this on here. Do a little more oomph. Okay, so there you go. Now that's nowhere near tight enough, but I like what I'm seeing so far. You know, I don't have this is real close to the bottom, which I like. It's not riding up high. I'm gonna look and see if there's any wobble. That's in the correct position there. Now I'm gonna look here at the bottom. There, it looks good. Now I'll watch this blade and see if it hits in the same spot. It does. So far, this blade, oh, I don't know, that one. But I think it's okay. I don't think the crankshaft is bent. It may be, I'll know that when I pull the cord. It vibrates or tries to walk. That's the hint that the crankshaft is bent. So let me get this blade on nice and snug. Put my clamp back on here, and since I'm going to be coming this way to tighten, I'm going to put the metal part, the C-clamp, on the bottom this time instead of on the top when I took it off. Okay, that's snugged up. And now I've got my breaker bar to install this with enough torque that it stays in place. I'm going to swing this in my hand. It's touching now. See, this is very little resistance there. So I'm just now getting where this blade's going to be nice and snug. Using my big breaker bar. It's getting there now. Yeah, that's good. That's all you need. You've got so much leverage. So now, blade goes this way towards the discharge chute, and the cutting edge is leading the way, and the lift, that's another tip, the lift you want curving up towards the deck to throw the grass up to have it mulched. So make sure your lift is going up and the cutting edge is going towards the discharge chute. Okay, that's enough for today.